Do you remember how hard? Do you remember how hard the media fought against Donald Trump's suggestion that the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, came from China, came from not just from China, but from a lab in China? Like, right? Remember, because he called it the China virus, he called it the Wuhan flu. Other people have called it the Wu flu. All of these different things have happened. You remember how hard they fought against that? Well, recently there's been a little bit of a pitch change on this. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but there's been a little bit of a pitch change or a tone shift about the origins of the coronavirus, the virus that crippled the United States economy in an election year. And now we're starting to get evidence that maybe there was some control of the information and investigations into the origins of this thing. Something that, again, Trump was lambasted for this. The media ran full on with the story that Trump was wrong about this, that Trump was lying, that none of this is happening. And now we're starting to see some cracks in the veneer. Let's talk about what's going on today with Mike Pompeo. I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer. I'm also a legal and political commentator on YouTube and on Odyssey. Wherever you're watching, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on your notifications so you don't miss any videos. All right, so if you have not been following, over the past couple weeks, really, we've started to get some indications that maybe the media narrative about COVID, which seemed to run directly in line with the media narrative about the election itself. It's almost like there was a concerted effort. Click up here, you can learn about it. It's almost like there was a concerted effort from the media to keep Donald Trump from winning a second term. It's almost like that's a real thing that happened and they've admitted to it. But we're not here to talk about that. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this. Mike Pompeo claims Intel officials didn't want to talk about the Wuhan lab leak theory. So the basic gist of this theory is that this was a virus created in a lab in Wuhan. Now, to be very clear on this, this is a theory that has been around since coronavirus kind of kicked off. This theory is not looked upon favorably by the experts or by the YouTube or by social media, although they're starting to reevaluate these policies. I am not making a claim about the Wuhan lab leak theory. I am not an immunologist, a virologist, an epidemiologist. I don't know where it came from. Frankly, I don't care. I know it ruined the economy. I know it put a bunch of small businesses out of business. I know that our country has been reeling for it. I know it allowed us, or it gave our, let me rephrase that real quick. It gave our politicians an excuse to exceed what we would consider constitutional authority and to take power into their own hands. It pointed out many tyrants amongst our governing class. Whitmer, my own governor, Governor Walz, Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Cuomo, all of these people showed their true colors. The guy down in Kentucky, we saw extreme suppression of liberty in the face of a virus, and we saw a media complicit with a chosen narrative about what happened. But I don't know what happened with the virus. I don't know where it came from. I'm just a guy. I have my thoughts, but those thoughts aren't relevant to this story. So I'm just being very clear for the purposes of YouTube that I'm not making any claims in this video about the validity of the Wuhan lab leak theory. I'm merely pointing out that it's now rising back into prominence and that some social media companies are rolling back their policies about covering this, including Facebook very, very famously rolling back their policy on covering this sort of theory. So here's the articles from Newsweek. It'll be in the description. I encourage you to check it out on your own, but we're going to take a gander through most of it here. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo claimed intelligence officials didn't want the world to know that the Chinese government was trying to cover up the origins of COVID and that they were happy to stay focused on other things. And this is something we see all over with China. Everybody's afraid to talk about China because there's this uncomfortable reality that China is a very, very scary sort of rival on the global stage. I don't know how else to say it. China has an extremely large military. They have a huge population base to draw from. They're a massive economic engine. They're resource rich. This is, and we do a lot of trade. We have a lot of convenience coming out of China's exploitation of their own workers and the exploitation of their natural resources. Our administrations are very, very hesitant, and our big companies are very, very hesitant to draw serious criticisms on China because of all of the stuff we derive from them as part of our daily lives, and it'd be very, very uncomfortable to have an economic or armed conflict with them. So this is not a surprise that the officials were happy to stay focused on other things. The ex-Trump administration official told Fox News that there were folks all over the intelligence community who didn't want to talk about the possibility that COVID originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. This was a very popular early theory. It has never really lost popularity, but it has lost favorability in the media. Very, very much. All at the same time. Again, let's remember that back in 2020, the media was focused on one thing: Trump being out of office. That was their entire focus. All of their reporting, everything the media said in 2020 about the Trump administration, about COVID, about the pandemic, literally everything needs to be viewed in the context that they openly admit they worked together to get Trump out of office. I can't stress this enough. We were lied to by the media specifically for a year because they hated Trump that much. So all of their reporting on all of this stuff, all of their policies, big tech and big social media, they're all in on it too. Again, right here, read that Time article. It's right there. Read it. It's amazing. It's amazing. Okay. He also alleged that his team faced bureaucratic hurdles as they attempted to declassify intelligence on the Wuhan lab, share it with the American public during the final year of the Trump admin. Speaking on the Ingram Angle on Thursday, Pompeo said, "We worked diligently to get the intelligence community to declassify more. Former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe was a great partner in trying to do that, but there were folks all over the community who just didn't want to talk about this, wanted to stay focused on other things. They didn't want the world to know that the Chinese Communist Party was in the process of covering up, it turns out, what might have been several million losses of life." Fox News host Laura Ingraham asked Pompeo why intelligence officials would want to cover for the Chinese government. The former Secretary of State said he would leave that to others to speculate. Earlier in the interview, Pompeo said there were big fights over the declassification on COVID's origin and pointed the finger at officials at the National Institute of Health. But he also praised the good work of his State Department team and noted that the Trump administration was able to publish information on activity on the Wuhan lab on January 15th. Newsweek has contacted them for comment. Wall Street Journal first reported on May 23rd that 3 researchers from the Wuhan Institute of Virology became so sick in November 2019 that they sought hospital treatment, citing a U.S. intelligence report. The fact sheet released by the State Department on January 15th said staff at the lab had also shown symptoms consistent with both COVID-19 and common seasonal illnesses around the time it's believed the outbreak began. So now we've got President Joe Biden last month ordering U.S. intelligence officials to investigate the origins of COVID. The move suggested his administration was taking the Wuhan lab leak theory seriously, and the precise origin is still unknown. Many scientists still believe COVID most likely evolved naturally rather than being engineered. But what information are they going off of course, is the question. So here we have the media starting to roll back their idea on that whole Wuhan lab leak theory. We've got Joe Biden starting to suddenly adopt it. It's safe now. It's safe now. Trump is gone. The boogeyman has left. Now maybe we can start looking at why our country was destroyed. But I think a lot of us already know why the country was destroyed, and it's not China. China wasn't the reason. China's the excuse, but the reason has always been and will always be government's thirst to expand its own power and the media's thirst to control the government. But that's just me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Till next time, guys. Peace. Peace.